This is where it all begins. We laser cut everything from just, it's aluminized steel.
Yep.
The reason that is you get the strength of steel, but you get that aluminium coating that means it's not going to rust, you're not going to have any problems, and it means the tank will last longer than the vehicle.
Sweet. So flat sheets, cut them out, and then over to folding, eh?
Then over to folding, we'll go have a look. So over here is where everything's folded.
Yep.
So laser cutters make the job easy. Everything's already etched with a line where it gets folded and everything. So that's pretty cool, makes life a lot easier.
Sweet.
And all different styles of folding. We've got brake presses, we've got pran brakes, and it just depends. What we try to do is limit the amount of welding on the tanks.
Yeah, right.
A lot easier to fold than to pull a big weld. So we have all different folders, specialty folders you can see happening in the background.
Yep.
And that's just to make it as easy as possible and at least labour welding it afterwards. As you can see along here, this is how they come out when they're folded. 80 series, high ace tanks, that'd fit the back of your car, the GU.
The GU. What do you reckon? We might need a long range in the GU.
Well, if it's going to go filming with 300 litres, you're going to need a bit more fuel in there to go with it.
Now, I'm starting to get there, so Dodge Ram, what have you got here? This is a GU tank, so that'd actually fit in ours. They got everything from Ivecos, 60 series replacement. I'm getting pretty good at this, I've been listening too much. So, as you can see, this is what the tanks look like. They head straight over to the welding bay, let's check it out.
So one of the big differences that we've always done,
Yep.
just to make sure for installers and for, you know, fitment of the tank, all our brackets are jigged. So when the tank's produced and it's all put together as, you know, the main body, we then set a jig on top, which locates the brackets. And what all the jig is a replication of your car or the car that the tank's got to go in. So that's something we've always done. Along behind all these, which the welders can access from the other side, is a sample of all our tanks.
Yep.
One, it keeps it that we've got a sample that if we want to try it in a new model, or you know, you want to try the dual cab tank and the single cab, you can grab it and try it and see how it fits.
In every single new model of car, you got to either see if one fits or remake a whole new tank.
Mate, and that's why at the moment, like we have the big sellers inside, so there might be 40, 50 samples inside,
Yep.
and there's about 100 odd tanks outside, all different samples for cars dating back 30 odd years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different tanks.
Yeah, I bet.
So this is where the welding all happens.
Yep.
We've got welding bays right along here, and they're assembling tanks and also then welding them off.
Yep.
So, you know, a lot of the guys tack together, slowly put them together. But one of the big things I do want to show you with all our tanks, inside you'll see in here, swell pot. The main reason that is, especially with the way you travel, your car's bouncing around up and down, going up hills.
Yep.
And the swell pot keeps the fuel around your pickup point.
Yeah, right.
Through here, you can see, baffle, another baffle up here. So this is a Dodge Ram tank, 200 litres, 200 kilos, just going bang, bang, bang. So baffles is huge. And with all our tanks, we baffle them to make sure, you know, every time you stop at the lights, you don't want to kick in the butt because it's 200 litres going bang, bang.
And I've driven some without as well. You feel the tank slap back and forwards, it's a pain in the arse.
Yep, exactly. And then along here, all of this, that's just being welded off.
Yep.
And you can see here, you know, you won't get a much better weld.
I was going to ask you what the testing process was, because obviously every now and again, surely someone's going to miss a little bit of a weld. So
100%.
what's the process?
Well, especially here, and it's funny because we come over here and there's another Dodge Ram tank. So the size of this, and you look at the length, like this is a 2 metre long tank.
Yeah.
There'd have to be 10, 15 metres of welding on this thing. Like it's just loads of welding. So the opportunity to miss little bits, 100%. We pressure test everything. They go through, it's a 4-stage pressure testing. So whether that's what we call like a soap test. Soap, of course, bubbles up when it gets the air coming out. And then also to make sure, absolute certainty that it's got no holes, they get held underwater for a period of time with pressure. Just have a guess how many PSI we put into this to test it. Just a guess.
50?
This tank would be an exploded mess at 50 PSI. So these tanks, what's amazing, because they are so big, we end up putting about 3 PSI, and even in a Dodge Ram this big, the PSI difference compared to a 50 litre tank for a short wheelbase Jeep or something like that, an auxiliary for them, is completely different. They're huge. So that's one thing. Now the issue we've always had, to get a gauge that's going to show you those small amounts of PSI is really hard. So what do? We go back to the Stone Age, and we have a gauge here that you can see that there's a red dye that's sitting at the top, and you can see it's barely moving. It might just be moving. They'll usually be because there's the smallest amount of air coming out of a fitting.
Yep.
But that's sitting there under pressure. It has not moved, or as I said, barely moving. That can tell you pretty clearly that there's air sitting inside this.
So once, obviously, any small leak, that just starts.
That'll just start slowly moving down, so you know air's coming out of somewhere. So that's a good indication.
So when they're submerged, that's just don't see any bubbles come up.
If air isn't coming through, fuel ain't coming through.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to.
Sweet, so
Check
4
it.
stages of testing, what's next?
So in here, mate, these are all tanks.
Yep.
Getting prepped to be primed and painted.
What's this one?
This is for a Hi-Ace, Toyota Hi-Ace. This is going to South Africa actually, so we supply all around the world.
Yep.
But these will be painted up, cleaned up, all sanded off.
Yep.
And then our paint line, you can see there's just all different tanks being painted, going out the door, ready to go in cars all over the country and the world.
Happy days.
So in here, mate, is the kit, and it's really crucial. And one thing we've always been pretty proud of, we buy the best to
Yep.
go with our tanks. All the highest quality brass fittings for all the fuel systems, and also we've aligned ourselves with guys like Worth who do a lot of our fittings, and we'll pack all the kits here. You know, well, we've seen the tank in your car.
Yep.
There's 150
Yeah.
odd bits to go with
Yeah,
that
there's a
thing.
lot.
So this is where it all happens.
Unreal.
Out here, along with going in boxes and all different stuff.
Yep.
Some of these tanks, of course, you couldn't have a box for. You've seen how many shapes and sizes we've got around the joint. So we bubble wrap them, wrap them up,
Yep.
and they get freighted
Everywhere.
everywhere, mate. You name it, they go.
Well,
So
it's good to see all in-house, mate, Aussie made, family-owned business. It's good to see, unreal.
yeah, it's definitely over the years something to be pretty proud of. That we still, and especially the last few years, people finding out what a long-range tank is. It was something that was just really, pretty
Pretty unique.
niche to Australia.
Niche, yep.
But now it's all around the world, mate. So yeah, it's something to be proud of.